Okay, so for part B1, solubility, we're going to take table salt and water. Here is my test tube. I'm going to put a couple milliliters of water in. I'm going to put a little bit of table salt in. I'm not putting a lot in. I'm just putting a really small amount on the spatula, and then I'm just adding it in, and it got on the side of the test tube. So I'm going to get it to dissolve. Table salt completely dissolves in the water, so that means that the solubility is high. Okay? The next one, I'm going to put about 2 milliliters of water into a test tube with some table sugar. Just a little bit of table sugar is going to go in. It got on the side of the test tube again, so I'm going to get it to dissolve. This may take a little bit longer to dissolve than the table salt, okay? But it completely dissolves in the water, so that means if I wait a little bit longer, it'll completely dissolve. It is high solubility, okay? Now, if I put some water in a test tube and I put wax in my test tube, I'm just going to take a little bit of piece of wax. It's floating on top of the water, so that means that there is no solubility, so you would write none. Okay. The last one is copper 2 sulfate in water. So I'm going to put a couple milliliters of water in my test tube. I'm going to get some copper 2 sulfate. I'm just going to take one crystal, if I can get one crystal. I'm just going to take one of these crystals, okay, and I'm going to add it. Of course, it sticks to the side, so I'm going to try and get it. What's going to happen here is the crystal is going to start to dissolve on the sides. I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting it down in there. You'll notice that the crystal is going to round out on the edges a little bit at first, and the solution may turn a very, very faint blue color. But it's not going to dissolve like completely within a reasonable amount of time. So we're going to say that the solubility here, because you'll see it down there at the bottom, okay, the solubility here is going to be moderate. Okay? All right, now for part B2 on miscibility, if I take water and rubbing alcohol and I mix them in a test tube, I'm going to add about 2 milliliters of water. I'm going to add maybe a milliliter of rubbing alcohol so I can tell the difference in case they don't mix. They mix uniformly, okay? So that means that they are miscible. I can't tell which liquid is more dense. If I take another test tube and I mix water and mineral oil, I'm going to put 2 milliliters of water in here, and then I'm only going to put about a milliliter of mineral oil in. The mineral oil is really thick. Here you're going to notice that they don't mix. You see little bubbles on the top. The water's at the bottom. The mineral oil is at the top. Remember, the substance at the bottom is more dense. Okay? All right. Now, if I mix rubbing alcohol and mineral oil, here's about 2 milliliters of rubbing alcohol. I'm going to add about a milliliter of mineral oil so I can tell which one is which. My mineral oil goes to the bottom. Okay, rubbing alcohol is up at the top. These are immiscible. They don't mix. If I go to part C1, dissolving sodium bicarbonate in water, here I have 2 milliliters of water. I'm going to add just a little bit of sodium bicarbonate, which is just baking soda. I'm just adding a little bit, okay? It dissolves. I don't form any bubbles. I don't form an insoluble precipitate. There's not an unexpected color change. This is an example of a physical change, not a chemical change. Okay? All right, you're skipping part C2. You cross that entire table out, which is right here at the top, because you're not doing that. Okay? And then if you go to part C3, heating copper wire, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay, so here you're going to heat copper wire. We're We're going to turn on the Bunsen burner. I'm going to get a new piece of copper wire. You'll notice that the new piece of copper wire is a shiny rose gold-ish color. Okay, I'm going to put it at the hottest part of the flame. Watch what happens. The color changes. Now it's a dull silver color. Okay? That's your observation. This is the outer appearance. If I took a sharp knife and I scraped off the outer copper that I just heated, then actually I burned it in a flame. This lab will tell you that burning is more combusting. If I scrape off the outer part underneath, I'm going to reveal a shiny copper that didn't react. Okay, so the outer appearance is a chemical change, then the inner appearance is going to be more of a physical change, okay, because I'm scraping off. And you put this in the used copper wire container, and then you are done.